World Economic and Social Survey, a publication of the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. I'm delighted to have Dr. Nagesh Kumar, Chief Economist of UNESCAP here. Nagesh is also the Director of the Sub-Regional Office of UNESCAP that has just opened in New Delhi, which represents South and Southwest Asia. The normative dialogue that it catalyzes in the globe is a very important part of the work, the intellectual work of the United Nations.
The report clarifies that basically it is talking about international public finance and not private financing. So that should include official sector involvement, the international cooperation and resource transfer to developing countries. So it is a development finance, it should be finding its way to developing countries. And innovation, or when you say innovative development finance, it should involve some innovation in either collection side or allocation or governance side. In this figure, you find listed several activities, several possibilities. One is the actually much larger source of. It could become a much larger and much more significant source of revenue. In fact, some calculations that we had done in ESCAP recently, it showed that depending upon how much you levy, and it could be up to $650 billion per year. So it is a very significant source of potential revenue. And then it comes up with the new tax on billionaires. That there is a growing list of billionaires who have been beneficiaries of globalization. And a very small tax, a very small global tax on them could yield another $50 billion. So altogether, one is talking of a new $400 billion of money resources, which could be, very substantial compared to the existing levels of, so for instance, the corporate taxes and the financial transaction tax. So basically, what you need is, to realize their potential, you need political agreement for coordinated implementation. You see, very important thing is that it should be coordinated across the countries. Otherwise, you will get into a prisoner's dilemma kind of situation. That a country which implements it will be affected adversely. Money or business will run away from it if one country is doing it. So it has to be a universal kind of tax. Then only it will be really keeping everything tax neutral. We have an education cess which goes to fund Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, which is universal literacy program. So we have successfully implemented that. We have also another innovative tax, like every liter of diesel, there is a 1 rupee added for which is funding National Highway Development Program. So it's a very good principle that if there are better roads, you would say the developed and developing countries, although it will be spent in the developing countries, but this is something which is of global importance. And so for instance, poverty, health, education, these are issues which will derive, which will give benefits beyond.
Now, one of the big problems, whether it's climate or sustainability, is that that whole principle that developing countries will not contribute to the kitty, and it is the onus is on developed countries to provide which is where the sticking point is. Now, on the other hand, you're also talking about the need that you cannot have such a situation where only some countries have to make the move because that puts them at a disadvantage. But all this sounds great. How do you overcome that huge elephant in the room?
These are some things which should be done only by developed countries. Carbon tax, certainly, a report says that it should be levied in developed countries because these are the countries which have polluted up to now. Developing countries have just started, and so they should have some space to grow before they can be contributing to this kind of developing countries. This is what actually James Tobin, when he initially He proposed this. He had said.
This UN report, does it suggest
Yes.
the ways the developed countries should help the developing countries?
This is about annual $100 million of SDR being issued every year.
It also
for
talks about
development.
rationalizing the disbursement
Absolutely.
processes,
Yes.
and of rationalizing the global funds,
Yes.
of making them more democratic, more inclusive,
Yes.
more representative. So
Yes.
it talks about both sides,
Both sides.
not just of raising, but also the challenges of disbursement.
That doesn't focus on this region, has it anything specific on this region, and I mean, has the development assistance, how is it adversely affecting countries in the region?
In that context, this discussion becomes very critical, that what are the other possibilities for us to explore. So this report goes into that, it's an exploration in future. And so it doesn't really go into the existing experiences of how the ODA has helped or not helped this particular region or any particular